IGV is back over $100, and it seems like software is officially back for like the fifth time this year. Palantir reported some really good numbers yesterday, 93% year over year revenue growth, and then they raised some guidance. So it's definitely helping IGV and obviously Microsoft as well. I think Palantir right now is up like 25%, over 25% today. Insane. Closed yesterday at 125 and is up to about 162. So definitely some insane movements that we're seeing in the market. I hope everybody's portfolio has been doing well this past week, this past month, because the market gave us some really good buying opportunities, and I hope you took advantage of it. Few things that I want to cover in this video today. Real quick, just want to touch up on software, and then I want to talk about some earnings that are coming up and then this week that are some not core positions in my portfolio, but they are positions in my portfolio that will definitely have an impact on my portfolio depending on what the moves are. And then I want to talk about Microsoft and SoFi, what I'm doing with those positions, because Microsoft is by far my biggest holding. It's not even close, but that is my core holding. So what I'm doing with that, do I plan on selling? Do I plan on buying more? We're going to get into it. But before we get into it, if you could just give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, means a lot. It helps push this video out. But yeah, let's get into it. So Palantir, I'm going to be honest. This is one company that I've never really followed. I don't understand their business. I haven't taken time to really look into this business for the past few years since they went on the crazy run. But I know this is very important. This is a very important company when it comes to software. And seeing this, right? Obviously, they're a different kind of software company than like your traditional Adobe, but this is, you have Microsoft, you have Palantir, you even have Adobe that has clearly shown a bottom at 191. Oracle is finally bouncing off those bottoms at like 115, right? And I think it's not safe to say, but clearly software has put in a bottom. I think this is the bottom for this year when it comes to software. I think a lot of buyers, especially with Microsoft, with Palantir, ServiceNow reported earnings. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, and they're clearly coming in and they're reporting some very strong numbers. And I think like investors are realizing that Anthropic, OpenAI are not just coming in and just like wiping out all of these software businesses that have legitimate business models, right? For the companies that were like wrapper companies, so they were basically just building on top of software that wasn't actually theirs, and then kind of being the middleman between the consumer and the software company, they're getting wiped out, right? Those companies have already been wiped out, a lot of those companies. But for companies like Adobe, Oracle, ServiceNow, like these companies that have established businesses with millions and millions of users, it doesn't those type of things don't happen overnight, right? Like these companies are not getting completely wiped out like the market basically was pricing these companies at, right? Adobe, I even said I think it was either last video or the video before, I wasn't excited about that push with Adobe when it hit 273 right before earnings, and you can see what it did, right? It actually went below 200. I didn't think I would have ever saw Adobe with a one in front of it, and that's just how the market is. That's how the market is. There's always going to be companies that you buy after had like a 50% drawdown, and you're like, this is a steal, and it still drops over time, right? And it seems like it's dead money. And you'd have never thought that it would have hit that. Nike stock, that thing had a three in front of it, I think, at one point. I think Nike had a three in front of it at one point. I think it just touched under 40, maybe not. But still, when I was buying Nike in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s and the 50s, I would have never thought I would have saw a four in front of it, right? I never even thought I would have saw a five, right? And Adobe, I would have never thought. I mean, this stock has gotten destroyed, right? You're looking at it at almost $700 a share, and the thing dropped under 200. If you got Adobe under 200, then you just got a steal deal. right? I mean, it's up 30, what, 30% from the bottoms, from the bottom that it put in. Yeah, I mean, over 32% it's up. So I think software definitely put in a bottom, and it's good to see software starting to have some money pile in. But yeah, I think this is the bottom for software. It's going to be interesting to see what other software companies start to report. I know some of the software companies aren't until like the back end of earnings season. Let me see if there's any other software companies, big software companies that are reporting. I don't think there's really any other big ones. I know Palantir just reported on Monday. Um, Maybe I'm just not seeing somebody here, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know Adobe usually is until like the end of earnings season, but regardless, it's going to be interesting to see what the other software companies come in. I think Adobe may put in some strong numbers, by the way, for this next earnings coming up. I don't know when they report. Let's see. Yeah, not until September 10th. We got a while for that, but we'll see how the overall market reacts because midterms. There's a lot of volatility on midterm years, right? But for the rest of the earnings week, I always say the earnings week after big tech is like always like my favorite personally because there's just so many companies that report that like we all know of, right? Like McDonald's, Spotify, Uber, Shopify, Disney, Fubo, Celsius. There's so many different companies that report, and I always think like the week after big tech is like the most exciting. But couple couple earnings that I'm going to be paying attention to this week. Number one is Lyft. So you guys know that I hold Lyft in my position, hold Lyft in my portfolio. It's not a huge position. I think I have about 400 shares left. I had a little bit more last year, and then when it hit like 20 bucks, I trimmed just a little bit, and then I did some covered calls, and then it dropped obviously. But but Lyft has Lyft is one of those stocks that moves very quietly that not a lot of people pay attention to. And this is was always why I wanted to get into Lyft because it's an overlooked stock and I always thought it was undervalued, especially at like the $13 range when I was buying it, right? I think my average cost is just under $14, it's about $13 and like 80 cents. Fair value, I had it around $17 to $18, which is where it's kind of trading right now. And then that's why I did the cover call is when it hit 25, right? Because I think it was just a little far stretched. But I do believe that this is a $30 stock in the making, right? And it's just undervalued. The market is discounting it. And it's one of those things, one of those stocks that moves very quietly that not a lot of people pay attention to. And they report Thursday. And with Free Now acquisition and them expanding into Europe, I think they're going to put in some decent growth. I don't think, look, like I said before, Lyft grows like low double digits. It's not really exciting, right? It's not an exciting company whatsoever, but they are becoming more efficient, right? Building up that cash flow. And right, they crossed over $1 billion in cash flow. They did some acquisitions to help expand. So there's a lot of good things that they're doing. And David Risher, right, he helped build Amazon's bookstore business back in like the late 90s, early 2000s when they were a startup, right? So he knows how to build a business from scratch. And I think he's doing a pretty good job with Lyft, right? So Lyft is definitely one that I'm going to be paying attention to, and it will move my portfolio just a little bit, depending on the movement that they have. Number two is Celsius. So I don't own Celsius, but I am looking at adding Celsius to my back into my portfolio because I used to own it. Um, this is one I'm trying to be as patient as I can with it. Under 30, I do think it is a good buy under 30. Right now, I want to wait and see what they report this earnings coming up before I add to it. I haven't been following them as much as I used to, so I don't know what to expect from this earnings, to be honest. I know they have been putting up some decent numbers with all the acquisitions that they've been doing with Alani Nu. Celsius brand is showing some really strong presence. I think they're going to give Red Bull and Monster a good run for their money over the next decade. To be honest, I really do. They're a strong brand, and I don't think they're going away. You're always going to have, like Costco, just announced that they have their energy drink that's getting released. I don't. It's like you can't just say like, okay, that's it. Costco is taking market share like that. It's not that easy. It's not an easy. It's a very competitive market with the energy drinks. Celsius, Red Bull, Monster. Those are your top three. So you're gonna have competitors always come in every single market, no matter what business line you're in. You're gonna have competitors come in and try to grab market share, but it's who can last over 5, 10, 15 years, right? And Celsius has proven that they are able to stay in the running, right? And over the last 5 years, they have been taking some market share and making some noise in this industry. So pay attention to Celsius. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to it, but we'll see what they how they report this earnings. Other company that I think that was it. I thought there was one more that was reporting this week. It might have been next week. Let me check next week really quick. No, I guess that was it. I guess it was Lyft. I thought it was one more. DoorDash. I guess that was it. All right. Moving on to SoFi, just really quick. Let me show you my position right now. So SoFi, the SoFi position, $16 cost basis. I added some more shares last week on that little dip that they were giving us. But really quick, let me pull up SoFi. SoFi has been on a tear recently. This last week, right? We're about 12%. Yesterday, it had a phenomenal day, right? And this is another one of those stocks that just moves like quickly, like really, really quick, where these dips get eaten up pretty fast. And yeah, I just think this is a good buy for some growth over the next 5 years. I mean, this company is going to be really, really good in their industry. So, anyways, I have just under 500 shares. I also have some lead calls that I bought back in, I want to say April, around April. I shared with my subscribers on Instagram. I know a couple of them got in with me. And yeah, those are up as well pretty nicely. I think it's up like 20% on the leap calls plus this. So yeah, I mean, SoFi's looking good. Definitely enjoying some of the gains. It's not a huge position in my portfolio, to be honest. But still really good buy, and especially I'm not too heavy on the shares because I also have the leap calls as well. But man, SoFi just continues to come in and report such solid numbers, 30, 40% in like all of these categories. It's exactly what you want to see with this type of company. And here's the thing is that we're in an interest rate environment where like it's still a little elevated and they're still reporting these numbers. And like this is why I love the management team, because when you hear them on the call, it's like they're not sitting here like blaming the environment on like the number, like they're, if they were declining or if they were even accelerating, they were like, oh, it could be better if this, like they're just focused on just operating this business and growing this business, right? And this is what we're doing to grow this business. Like the management team's solid is the point I'm trying to make. The management team is very solid, and member growth is almost already at 16 million. Man, it probably already passed 16 million. Like it's crazy. Like they're growing at like such a healthy and steady rate. Like I think it took them like 10 years to hit 10 million or something like that. I forget the exact time and numbers, but it was something crazy like that. And here they are already at 16 million like a few years later. Like this company's getting a lot of momentum right now. This is a really solid company. I'm pretty comfortable with buying this and holding this for the next 5 years. Right? They're doing a phenomenal job. So With the second company is Microsoft. Microsoft is doing so well, and man, it's like you do your research, you do your due diligence, you buy on the dips, and you get rewarded, right? There's like not a better feeling than that. That's why I love this game. This is why this is the best game that you can play in the entire world, hands down, because this is exactly why you put your money where your mouth is, you put your chips on the table, and you can get rewarded for it, right? Because you put in the work and put in the time. Microsoft is up $6,600. We're up about 32%. This is a very big weighting in my portfolio. It's over 20% if you want to see the actual weighting I shared with my subscribers on Instagram. I share with them everything. I'm transparent with them so they could see how much it is and what I'm buying and selling. But yeah, Microsoft is looking pretty good. And look, if you follow me on X, I always say this, by the way, like, follow me on X if you want to see, like, I put out some good stuff. Not every single day, not too active, but I think I put up some quality posts here that you can follow on X. But I put this out on July 21st. Now, to be honest, this is something that I've already kind of spoken on in previous videos, but this was a Morgan Stanley analyst that put a $600 price target on the stock, right? And this was driven by Azure and Copilot. And what did I say in previous videos? Microsoft Azure is going to be the growth driver for Microsoft over the next 2 to 3 years, probably the next 5 years, right? They're still going to come in strong. Copilot was just, I think, an added growth driver, which is they have hundreds of millions of users in Copilot, but they weren't able to monetize it and have them convert to being paid customers, right? Now, there's a couple ways you can look at that. You could say, well, obviously people don't want to use this bad product Copilot that people have, and clearly customers have shown that. Or you can be a little optimistic about the business and say this is an opportunity for Microsoft where they're going to start converting those users into paid users. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And the more digging that you do into what Microsoft is offering for everything, like they basically have this ecosystem built now where they're locking people in, and they're going to lock people in for years. And there's a post that I made where they're like giving you everything that you need, right? Where you can see it right here where they're giving you security, data tools, and all this AI powered software all in one, right? So like security, they just announced some cybersecurity product that they're integrating into their platform, that it's theirs, which gives, right, when you have a customer come into your platform, now they don't have to worry about integrating another cybersecurity software into their right? It makes the integration process a lot easier for companies when they go to Microsoft. Microsoft is doing a phenomenal job with capturing a lot of these customers, and they're going to get locked into their ecosystem. That's the thing, is that it's so sticky. You have switching costs, right? But here's what Microsoft's doing. They're hiring teams with all of these top engineers, these people that really understand AI. And they're going into these companies and they're basically sitting down and they're saying, okay, what do you need your business to do? How do you want to do it? And they're helping build these agents specifically for their business. And then they're locking them into their ecosystem and they're going to charge them for years to come. Right. And this brings me into this post right here. So July 22nd, I posted this where Microsoft just locked in 30,000 seats into their ecosystem off of one customer. That's off of one customer. Their E7 product, which is that's like their top tier enterprise product, which basically gives it's like access to everything that they offer. So they get the seat model. Right now, this is another conception that a lot of people think like the seat model is getting killed from AI. Well, here's the thing with that, is that they just added their 30,000 seats, right? But here's where Microsoft is going to make a killing, is that they put in their agents for these companies, and they're going to charge them usage, right, for agent management. So this just adds additional revenue per user, right? So they've moved their model from the seat model to like more of a hybrid seat plus consumption model. So here's the thing, and this is why people don't understand like what is happening. Let's just say this company, also it's a 5-year deal as well. So again, they're locked in for 5 years. That's a pretty big deal. And Microsoft's doing that with multiple customers. It's not just one company, right? Hence why they're adding millions of users, per millions of seats, Copilot users per quarter. But anyways, let's say Manulife. I think I made a post here on it actually. Okay. All right. So this is basically talking about the seat kind of model, but they cracked the code for how the model works, right? If software companies like Microsoft are going to lose seat revenue, which is adding, licenses, they're going to make it up on the consumption model or with the consumption model, right? Where, okay, this company, Manulife, hope I'm saying that right, has 30,000 workers. They added 30,000 seats. Let's say Manulife instead they wanted to add only 25,000 seats because the 5,000 they kind of think that the 25,000 are going to make up the work for that 5,000 that they didn't get licenses for. But here's the thing, Microsoft's going to make their money on the consumption that those 25,000 are going to make, right? Or use, that's going to make up the lost revenue from the seats, if that makes sense. I hope that's not like too confusing, but that's why this model is going to work, and a lot of other software companies are going to be doing this as well. It's just a win-win scenario for Microsoft because of this model. So again, if they lose out on the seat revenue, they're going to make it out on the consumption. And if they lose out on the consumption, they're going to make it up on the seat model. And that's why you got to understand and follow what is going on here, because I explained it here, right? For the companies that want to implement AI, they want to try to cut headcount. They're going to need to figure out the ratio of where that money can be made up from their employees, and that's for those companies to figure out. That's not for Microsoft. Microsoft's sitting here like, okay, like you figure that out, but you still got to pay us regardless for the seats, for the usage that you want to use, right? So huge win for Microsoft. Um, and yeah, I mean, we didn't even get into the earnings here, but yeah, Azure growth surpassed 100 billion for the first time. Really good stuff on Microsoft's part. Um, Looking forward to where they're going for the next 12 to 18 months. I'm not selling my position. I'm not trimming. I'm not doing anything. You guys know my price targets. You know my projections. Give it 12 to 18 months. This company is going to probably be $700 in my opinion. Um, they're already almost at that $500 mark. It's like it happens so quick. That's why you have to buy these dips when they give you those opportunities. But Microsoft, top company, and man, it's I think over the next 12 to 18 months, this is going to work out really well. So that's all I got. I appreciate you for joining me in another video, and I'll see you in the next one.